a little bit of a weird page turn from being all geeked up on Jared Verse and then talking about Dallas Turner. So he was a highly recruited kid. Do you have any other background info on him as you usually do on these prospects?
I mean, he was a 5-star kid out of St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale. For anybody that doesn't follow high school football, I mean, St. Thomas Aquinas is one of the finest schools in the country, consistently put out a lot of talent. He played a lot as a true freshman, Joe. Obviously, that was the Will Anderson year where he had like 17 sacks and 30-plus tackles for loss. But despite that, Dallas Turner was still able to have 10 tackles for loss and 8.5 sacks as a true freshman. So there was a lot of expectations going into his sophomore year. The production did not quite match, obviously, what the expectations were. But obviously there is some talent there because he was able to go on a really talented Alabama defense over the last 2 years and get a significant role early on. So he's been a highly touted kid, and he's been considered a high level talent pretty much everywhere he's been, from St. Thomas now to Alabama.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a statistical regression as there was with the whole Alabama defense. But the thing with Turner, and the reason why I set him up the way that I did, he is very physically gifted. He's got good length. He moves really well in space. I think he's going to be a really good 3-4 outside linebacker because he moves as well as he does in space. And I think he can cover a little bit. But I just don't get a guy who has the nuance necessary to be consistently productive right now. And I think that's why we even saw a drop off in his production. He is one of those dudes to me who just screams like, I'm used to using my traits to win, and I haven't had to rely on technique to win reps. It's a lot of bull rushes, a lot of long arms that don't really result in tackles for losses or sacks like you would like for that to happen. I'm not saying he's not going to get there. I'm high on him because I think that he will get there because the traits are fantastic. But the technical side of things, I think he's a very raw football player who needs to figure out and take some steps forward before he can become, I think, maybe what he's being hyped up to be right now.
I mean, he's not a football player right now. He's an athlete playing football, and he's a very good athlete playing football. Craziest stat, Joe. Crazy stat. Senior year at St. Thomas Aquinas, he only had 36 total tackles. Guess how many of them were tackles for loss out of 36? 25, dude. 25 tackles out of 36 were for loss, and he had 13 sacks, which is just kind of speaking to the athleticism and the playmaking ability that he potentially does have. I'll say this about Dallas. I think that his speed rush is very impressive. When he comes from a wide alignment, I think that he can run around an outside track and be able to run. Yeah. Like, he has really flexible lower half. I think that he can run the corner. That's fantastic. I think his hands absolutely suck. Like, they suck. He doesn't understand how to use his hands. Like, there's literally a couple plays I highlighted. I think it was, let me pull it up because I actually pulled the clips on these because I thought they were pretty good examples of just his raw traits that he had. So he was working against Texas A&M last year. That was one of his best games. So Texas A&M, there was literally 2 sacks within probably 4 or 5 plays where he literally just ran around the track. The offensive tackle wasn't able to get hands on, and he ran around him with his hands down by his side. He didn't even put his hands up to be able to try to defeat the block or anything. Like, he just ran around him. I'm like, that is both impressive and not translatable to the next level. It's not translatable. It's awesome that he's incredibly explosive. It's great. It's good that he has length. It's good that he has pursuit speed. He has all the athleticism that you need to be very good, but not a single pass rush move in his arsenal, and he doesn't know what he's doing with his hands. Just doesn't know it. I am excited for the positive. I am excited to see if they move him more into the Will Anderson role in this defense, because last year he was playing more as that big Sam that's going to play on the line of scrimmage, but it's also going to drop into coverage a ton and do all that type of stuff, right? Because he can drop into coverage. He actually looks pretty good dropping into coverage. He's pretty smooth.
Yeah.
But I would like to see him in the Will Anderson role where they actually let him attack the quarterback more consistently, because that's going to force him to develop those pass rush moves. It's going to force him to develop his hands. I would love to see him in a different role in this defense, because I know he can do the stuff where he drops into coverage. And I actually thought he was an okay run defender. I didn't think he was terrible as a run defender. I thought he got extension. I thought he got off of blocks okay. There's a solid baseline as a run defender, in my opinion. But as a pass rusher, that's where he's going to make his money long-term. That's what his traits say that he can be. Right now, he is just an athlete playing football. Tremendous upside, but man, he has no idea what he's doing. And if he was in the NFL right now, he would be a very unproductive football player on the NFL level because he just would not know how to attack offensive tackles consistently. Like, yeah, if you give him an outside track, he can take you. But we know that in the NFL, there's a lot of good offensive tackles that won't just let him get an outside track. They're going to make him get contacted at the top of the arc. And I'm just not sure that he's able to understand of how to defeat a block right now.
Right. My biggest thing for when I'm not like out on a prospect, but like where I have pause for not being super bullish on a prospect for an edge rusher is when they don't know how to disengage and they don't disengage at all or consistently. And I just the big thing that you hit the nail on the head there is that athletically, he's got every tool in the toolbox to be a 10 plus sack guy, and he almost got there as a true freshman.
Yeah.
But his inability to know how to disengage and to even attempt to disengage is a bit concerning. That is something that can get worked on. He's playing on a team that has a really good defensive coaching staff. I'm sure he's going to figure it out. He very well could figure it out by the time he reaches the NFL. It's just all that hand usage stuff. That's important to play defensive end or outside linebacker. Without it, it's hard to get bought in. I ended up grading him as a top 100 player. I don't really understand the hype for him as a top 20 player. And I really question as look, we're ass hats, or sorry, not assets. We're assholes on this show. I'm going to be completely honest. If you think that this guy is a top 20 draft pick in this upcoming season, I really question what you're looking at.
I think that there is projection, and then there's projection that is just going a little bit too far in the summer. Because I think that I look at someone and I say, if he cleans up these one or two things, he could potentially be a massive riser. Like, he really could. Dallas Turner, there's a lot of things that need to improve. There's a lot, man. Like, if it was just, hey, man, he's got good hands, but he really just needs to understand pass rush moves and add pass rush moves to the arsenal, I'd be like, okay, I could work with that. Or vice versa. If it's like, yeah, he's got some pass rush moves, but his hands are just super consistent, I can fix that in offseason. I'm not sure you can fix both in an offseason. So I feel like this kid's just going to be a toolsy kid that's going to be a day two player because there is definite upside, but is he just Caleb Von Chason? Like, that's what I look like with a kid like this, Joe. And that's a player that, like, I feel like some people missed it coming out of LSU with Caleb Von Chason because he was a gifted athlete, man. Gifted. Could move into space, do all that type of stuff. But he didn't know how to rush the passer. He didn't know how to rush it. And I feel like that's what we're looking for with Dallas Turner. So I'm not going to be bullish on this kid yet. I put a late 2, early 3 on him because I think that the upside is tremendous, but he's just an athlete playing football right now. He's not a football player. Like, that's just kind of the point blank and baseline for me is that there is upside, but I need to see tremendous growth. And honestly, I need to see tremendous growth this year, or I would advise him to go back to school. I don't think this kid should be an early enrollee if he doesn't take a massive jump. I really don't, because I think there's much more upside than what he showed in 2022. 2023 is a big year for him. I hope he takes that jump, but I was just, I was a little let down on this film, to be honest. Even the game against Texas A&M, I'm like, I went to that game because he had the most production he had all season. That was probably his best game, right? And I watched it, I'm just like, even the wins he's having, I'm just like, that's not incredibly translatable. Like, it's not. That's just you being a great athlete against some not great athletes on the college level. Like, there's just a lot of room for improvement for him.
I will say what's possible is kind of like the Nolan Smith track where, like, Nolan Smith wasn't super productive, but was really explosive. Another guy that was really highly recruited.
But he was an ass kicker in the run game. Nolan Smith was an ass kicker in the run game.
Yeah, and he would have gone a lot higher had he not gotten hurt, I believe.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying here is I think that he could go at the back end of the first round, early second, if things go according to plan and he improves. That's kind of what the trajectory I see as realistic for Dallas Turner. That's going to be it from us at Joe DeLeone at Rise and Draft. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back with more. Enjoy the rest of your week. I just want to tell you folks about an exciting new partnership that we have with this channel with Underdog Fantasy. Ever since I joined, I've been having so much fun. There are so many different exciting games that make watching games during the offseason more exciting. I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but it has made it way more entertaining since I found Underdog Fantasy. And my favorite game to play so far, which I think you should try out, is Pick'em. It is so easy to play. Just pick higher or lower on your favorite player stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Underdog keeps it simple with their easy to use website and mobile apps. Pick between 2 and 5 players to fill out your pick'em slip, get every pick right, and take home some cold hard cash. Use code HACK, 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 like the name of this channel. Use code HACK to get your first deposit doubled up to $100 by Underdog. Go sign up. You won't regret it. You're going to have a blast. Check out Underdog Fantasy. I also want to tell you folks about our other recurring sponsor that we have on this channel, that being BetOnline, betonline.ag, which has all the updated odds, news, and anything for sports betting. It's my go-to source for when I want to be betting specifically on games. I love betting on college basketball or the NBA, especially, again, during the offseason. Always looking for more fun ways to be focused in on some of these other sports. It's betonline.ag and use promo code BELIEVE50. It's promo code BELIEVE50 to get 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.